Hello, girls. So, today we'll begin with Great Expectations. Uh, we'll do the part 1 of the novel. The novel is divided into 3 parts: book 1, book 2, and book 3. We'll try and look at book 1 today. Okay, so I'll give you a rough context of the novel first. The novel was written in 1860 and it was published in 1861. Now, as I told you in the background of Victorian age, the Industrial Revolution and technological innovations had changed the face of England, and these innovations opened opportunities to the people of the lower strata, who earlier did not have the chance to gain status or wealth under the hierarchical caste of the society. So there were two kinds of divisions in the society: the lower and the upper class. Of course, the upper class was were the rich and the wealthy, the powerful people, the aristocracy, and the nobles. And the lower class primarily was constructed of the workers, the laborers, the people who were working in the industries, the factories, everything. So when the industrial revolution happened, it gave the opportunity to a normal common man to achieve that wealth and class which these people already had, the aristocracy already had from centuries. Now, Great Expectations is set in a premise where the characters get to explore their dreams and all of their ambitions are realized. It showcases characters from all classes of the 19th century British society. So there's not just people from the lower strata, but also from the higher strata of the society, the upper class. And it shows you the struggles of both the classes, not just the lower class, but the upper class also. What were the things that they were struggling with? The hypocrisy, the affectations, all of these things are combined together. The struggles, the burden that money puts on your head, all of these struggles are showcased in the novel. Give you a brief summary. The story follows the life of Pip or Pippin. Okay, he's an orphan who lives with his sister, Mrs. Joe. His sister is referred to as Mrs. Joe, and she does not have a name. And her husband Joe. Now Joe is a carpenter. He's also a blacksmith, so he has a forgery. Okay, a forgery where he forges stuff, and he basically has a workshop. Okay, and he takes care of his small family through his meager earnings. Now, Pip helps Joe in his warehouse and he learns the craft by assisting him. Now, while trying to earn some extra money, Pip gets to help in Satis' house. Satis' house is a mansion which belongs to a lady called Miss Havisham. Now, Miss Havisham is a crazy lady. Why is she crazy? Because she roams around wearing her yellowed wedding dress, her frayed wedding dress. She's not wedded, but she roams around as this old wife, as this old bride who was jilted by her lover 20 years ago. Okay, so since last 20 years she's been roaming around in that dress, and she hates men because of her failed engagement, and she believes that all they do is lie. She has a ward named Estella, and Estella is an extremely pretty girl, but she is being raised by Miss Havisham as a stone cold heartbreaker. Now, Pip falls in love with Estella and he decides to make himself good enough to marry her. Pip learns that he has been sponsored by someone rich to be trained to become a gentleman. Now, he assumes that it is Miss Havisham who wants him to be trained as a gentleman so that he becomes worthy of the secret engagement that she has done of Estella and Pip. Okay. Pip goes on to become a gentleman. He returns to woo Estella and marry her, but learns that she's to be married to another man belonging to a wealthy class. He learns that it wasn't Miss Havisham who sponsored her, and he breaks down and confesses his love for Estella to Miss Havisham. Miss Havisham eventually realizes that she has made a mistake, for which she apologizes and she is forgiven by Pip. In the due course of events, Pip learns that he was sponsored by Provis and that Estella is actually Provis's daughter. Now, who is Provis? Provis is a convict. He is a convict whom Pip helped in escaping. Okay, and when he comes back to see Pip, Pip again tries to help Provis, but Provis is finally caught for eloping from the jail, and he later dies of an illness before he can be executed. Now Pip returns home to Joe, who happily marries Bitty after his wife dies. Bitty is actually Joe's classmate, not Joe's classmate, sorry, Pip's classmate, but Pip never returned her love. Okay, she loved Pip, but Pip never returned her love. Eventually, Biddy married Joe, and she has a son with him who is a spitting image of Pip, and they name him Pip too. Okay, Pip goes on to be a merchant, and he sails around the world for 11 years. When he returns, he finds Estella living in the Satyr's house. Now, she confesses her love for Pip, and the couple unites in the end. Now, when we analyze book 1, we are only going to look at book 1 in this lecture. We are going to look at book 2 in the next class. Now, the first book of the novel describes Pip's childhood. Okay? Now, this book, we consider it a Bildungsroman. What is a Bildungsroman? A Bildungsroman is basically a novel which traces the life of a certain character. It begins from the childhood of a character and goes on to narrate the incidents which have shaped the character's life, okay, the protagonist's life, and how he becomes the journey of his or her coming of age, or his or her getting mature and attaining the life's goals and ambitions. It can also be a journey of a certain character's adventures. Okay, so it's a Bildungsroman, and the book 1 is totally dedicated to Pip's childhood. Okay, so Pip begins the novel by introducing himself as Philip Pirrip, but since he was unable to pronounce his name properly, he came to be known as Pip in the village. Pip lives with his sister Mrs. Joe and her husband Joe, and enjoys helping Joe in his work as a blacksmith. So initially, Pip really enjoys working as an assistant to Joe. On the Christmas day, while Pip is sitting in the church alone, he meets an escaped convict who threatens to kill him if he doesn't bring a metal knife to help him break loose. A terrified Pip complies and steals a metal knife from Joe's workshop. Later on, he helps the convict by providing him food and blanket in the cold marshes, displaying a generous heart. So we come to know that Pip is actually a very generous kid who is able to sympathize with the downtrodden. Okay, in the first 5 chapters, we see that Pip is actually an extremely sensitive kid. He's generous and sympathetic. He has a clear conscience because he feels extremely guilty of the theft he has committed. What theft? He stole the metal knife from the forgery. Right? This blame is eventually taken up by the convict when he gets caught. Okay? So the convict claims that he stole the knife. This is where we learn the first act of generosity and how generosity begets generosity. Okay, but guilt still rides heavy on Pip's heart. Pip is still feeling guilty, but he gives more importance to his relationship with Joe. He feels this thing that if he tells Joe that he has stolen something from his forgery, he feels that his relationship with Joe will be in danger, and that takes precedence over integrity. Okay, so Joe decides against telling the truth to him. Pip decides against telling the truth to Joe. Now later on, Pip is recommended to Miss Havisham, who is a rich heiress. Miss Havisham owns the mansion called Satyr's house, and she invites Pip to play in the mansion. He doesn't have to do anything else except play. Now Pip meets Estella in the house, who is his age and extremely beautiful. Now Pip tries to be friends with Estella, but Estella constantly snubs and insults him, addressing him as common and mannerless, referring to his class and background. Pip feels humiliated and eventually ends up crying. We later learn that this is how Miss Havisham is raising Estella, to break hearts. Now she's raising Estella only because she wants him to be a heartbreaker. She does not want him. She wants to use Estella as a weapon. Whatever has happened to her, wants to take revenge of that on the entire male community. So she raises this girl Estella, who is extremely beautiful, extremely pretty, but she raises her as a girl who is supposed to break people's hearts. Okay, and that is why Estella is extremely insulting and she is extremely rude to Pip. Now, Estella and Pip's relationship is reflective of the stark class difference that was warped in the Victorian society. Okay, so Victorian society was really struggling with this class difference. First half of the book one also gives us an insight into the parent child relationships of Victorian times. So, Joe narrates the stories from his childhood to Pip, explaining how he had an abusive father who never really treated him right. Joe was forced into working as a blacksmith because of the debts incurred by his father and thus never received formal education. If you have read the background to Charles Dickens' life, I told you how he had to give up his formal education too to get rid of the debts that his father had incurred, and his father was in prison because of these debts. Hence, Dickens had to let go of his formal education and start working in a shoe factory which made shoe polish. Okay? On the other hand, Joe is a loving guardian to Pip. Pip also feels the void of a mother in his life as he finds his sister to be mostly disgruntled by his presence in their house. By disgruntled, I mean that Mrs. Joe was never really happy with Pip's presence in her life. She always felt this thing that Pip is more of a burden to both of them rather than anything else, and she felt like getting rid of him. And if not getting rid, then else she wanted to use Pip as a means to earn money. That is why she agrees to send Pip to Miss Havisham's place in the first instance, right? The effects of all these incidents shape Pip's personality. Estella's insulting comments actually make him ambitious. He decides to get educated and he starts studying independently. Pip wants to get rid of the common in him. Okay, he does not want to belong to this common class anymore, and he wants to be of that higher strata so that Estella doesn't get this chance ever again to insult him. And because of this desire, he ends up detesting the job of an apprentice with Joe. He gets the job of an apprentice with Joe, but he's not happy anymore working in the forgery. Remember, initially he was happy, but now he is not happy at all. Okay? Why is this? So, in the first book, the second good thing we see is the relationship between Joe and his classmate Biddy evolve. Okay, the two become closest of friends when Biddy moves in with them to take care of Mrs. Joe, who is hurt by whoever broke into the forge. We never really get to know who breaks into the forge and hits and attacks Mrs. Joe, but because of this attack, Mrs. Joe is paralyzed and she assumes a quiet position. Till now, she was an extremely vocal person in the household, but now she assumes a quiet position. And Pip and Biddy come close as Biddy becomes Pip's closest confidant. It is Biddy to whom he confides in for the first time that he does not like his job as an apprentice. Biddy also acts as the voice of truth and rationale in the novel. Okay, she is the most sane characters of all the characters. She guides Pip when she realizes that Pip's ambitions have a shaky foundation. She helps him understand the psychology of people around him. She helps him understand what Joe is going through, what Mrs. Joe is going through, what Estella really means by all the insulting comments, and why is she like that, and if she is like that, then why she's not worth all the trouble that Pip is taking. Pip, when he gets the sponsorship for getting trained as a gentleman, it is Biddy who helps him stay grounded, and she acts as a bridge between Pip and Joe. Book 1 ends with Pip taking up the sponsorship and assuming his secret sponsor is Miss Havisham. He moves to London, second guessing his decision throughout the journey. So, throughout the journey, he's always thinking of getting down on one station or the other and going back to his home, going back to the village. But he doesn't do so, and he reaches London. Book 1 also gives the reader an insight into the childhood of the narrator. The narrator is Pip himself and the important incidents which helped shape his personality. It also puts limelight on the characters who play major roles in the novel and Pip's stories. So we are introduced to Pip, we are introduced to Joe, we are introduced to Biddy, we are introduced to Miss Havisham, and most importantly, we are introduced to Estella, who literally has the steering of Pip's life in her hands. Okay. This part becomes a foundation stone for great expectations that Pip has from his life and the reasons which have shaped these expectations. Okay, so I expect you to read at least book 1 by the end of this week, so that the next week when we begin, you have the context, the introduction, and a fair idea of the characters and which way the book is moving on. Okay, please do not take this lightly. It is absolutely important for you to read the novel, to read the book, because just the summary will not help you answer the questions. Okay, so please read the novel, and before we begin with book 2, please go through the lecture, and if you have any doubts, please ask. Thank you.